Hey everybody, I'm back. Welcome to Horse Race Bets. I'm Ken Rudolph. You know me, I've been doing this for 25 years, covering horse racing, having a great time, picking winners. And so on this show, we're going to pretty much try to bring you all the important news, notes, rumors, gossip, and of course, my selections to help you make some money and get rich with this sport. It's so much fun. And we've got to get down to business because Triple Crown season has already started, and we've got a Kentucky Derby prep race coming up on Saturday from the fairgrounds in Louisiana. It's the Grade 3 LeCompte, and this is at a mile and a 16th on the main track. A nice sized field of horses here. 14 initially draw into the field, but we're probably going to have a couple of scratches, so that means we'll have probably 12 horses. Now that's plenty, and especially with so many opportunities on the line. They're all going to be running hard for the money. Number one thing at stake is Kentucky Derby points. You'll get 20 points going to the winner of this particular race. What does that mean? Well, last year, the winner was Mystical Dan, and that horse had 46 points to get into the gate for the Kentucky Derby. Sierra Leone had the most points at 155. So that kind of gives you the range of what you're looking for. So the trainers are just trying to get their horses fit, give them an education, but most importantly, got to get points so that you are eligible to be one of the 20 horses in the gate on the first Saturday in May. So, with this race coming up, the big question is Built, the favorite, built to win this at 3-1 on the morning line? Well, this horse is really talented. He'll be parked to the outside, but that won't matter for him. He's got really nice early, just natural speed, and he also showed that he can be professional. This horse won at 7 furlongs at Keeneland, which is almost impossible to do. Then the horse came right back to win the gun runner over that track at the fairgrounds. Now, the fairgrounds stretch is the longest stretch in North America, so horses really have to be supremely conditioned, and they have to stick to their business when they get into the stretch because it's a long way to get to that wire and somebody can run you down. So the big question is, can anybody run this horse down in this race? I think yeah, because I think the horse has speed, but I feel like there are other runners, especially to the inside with Innovator, the number one horse. They have speed. That horse wants to go. I think there are other runners in between this field that also want to challenge. What does that mean? Well, that means you get a really, really hot live pace up front. And you know me, I love to find myself a closer that's going to be gobbling up ground at a big price. And I believe that if Favorite is tackled early on, and I believe he will be tackled early on, and if he's not as professional as we all think he is, you never know, then that means it's ripe for an upset price. The number 5, Optical. He's no illusion at 20-1. This horse has outstanding pedigree. City of Light, really great pedigree for versatility, showing some speed and being able to go a route of ground. This horse is going to be ridden by James Graham. He's an outstanding jockey, and he really knows the twists and turns there at the fairgrounds. He'll be in a nice spot sitting just off the pace. He is sitting there hoping and praying that he can get some serious action up front and get those horses to put that pressure on Built. That'll make for a really hot pace. That's all he needs. Give him something to run at, and when they turn for home, he should be in the mix. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and beat that favorite Built, and I'm going to do it with Optical. And what I'm going to do is put down, let's say, $20 to win. And let's see if that works out. And if it does, oh my goodness, we're going to be golden for the rest of the month. If we're talking Kentucky Derby, and I'm pretty sure we are, finally for the first time in 3 years, we get to talk about my man, Bob Baffert is back. B squared, baby. Bob Baffert, Hall of Fame trainer that has won 6 Kentucky Derbies. He's my all-time favorite trainer, and he happens to be a close personal friend, which really doesn't matter here, but thought I'd mention it anyway. He's got really, really live horses once again. I mean, when doesn't Bob have live horses? Well, the situation here is that Bob had to serve a 3-year ban laid out by the folks there at the Kentucky Derby. This after his 2020 winner, Medina Spirit, tested positive for an overage of a substance that you can use, but you just can't have too much of it. Bob got caught with an overage. They didn't like the way that Bob handled the investigation and their questions. So Kentucky Derby people there at Churchill Downs decided, hey, you've embarrassed us. You've also embarrassed the integrity of probably the greatest race in the world, the Kentucky Derby. So they banned Bob from being in the Kentucky Derby for 3 years. But you know you can't keep a good man down. So now, a man who has won 6 Kentucky Derbies is back again. And of course, You know he's loaded. Bob's got horses to watch. Citizen Bull, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and of course Gaming and Getaway Car were also in the mix there. Now those three horses are now 1, 3, and 4 on the Derby points leaderboard. And of course, they're ones to watch. I like Getaway Car. Like the way the horse was able to sit just off the pace. I think he's going to be really tough as he continues to develop. But then there's the other horse that people are talking about. The $3.2 million purchase, the horse by the name of Barnes. And Barnes debuted at Churchill Downs and looked beautiful. Still waiting to see where that horse goes next. And the cool thing about that horse, Barnes, he is named after Bob Baffert's longtime assistant, Jimmy Barnes, who's an outstanding horseman and just takes care of everything for Bob. Travels when Bob can't travel and just holds everything together. He's a really, really good dude. Great to see him get a horse named after him. And good luck to those connections of that $3.2 million purchase, Barnes, as they try to find a spot for that horse to develop. So that's the good news, right? Bob is back and we're going to be able to watch his horses, and I think that's going to be really, really fun to see. And of course, I'm all in. You can't have a legitimate Derby without Bob Baffert in the mix. All right, so that's what's happening with the Kentucky Derby, Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert. Now we move on to some really pressing issues that are coming up in a couple of states in terms of racing. So on the good news, or on the bright side, the folks in money-making Maryland, they are back and in the mix at Laurel Park. Laurel Park's a great track. I love the racing there, but they had some struggles, especially last year, right? They couldn't really get their field sizes together. They had some weather issues, had some track issues, and then the horsemen in the state, the company that ran the particular track there, they were also in a big dispute. So that company, First Racing and Gaming, remember that name, First Racing and Gaming. Well, what they did last year is decided that, hey, we don't want to run this anymore. So they just gave up control of racing in the state of Maryland. And they haven't run at Laurel Park since the end of 2024. So what happened is the horsemen got together and said, we're going to take command of this ourselves. And they've created what they're calling the brand new Maryland Turf Club. And what that is now is a brand new name. Oh, make sure I get this name right, because I don't want to mess it up for the folks out there. And it's being called the Maryland Thoroughbred Racetrack Operating Authority. And it's the new version of the Maryland Jockey Club, not Turf Club, Maryland Jockey Club. And what they're going to do is run on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Laurel Park in the state of Maryland. And what they've done by reducing the number of days, it reduces their cost and hopefully increases the field size. So they should have an average of 8 to 9 horses per field. And for bettors, that's all we care about. Now we've got value. Now we have a chance to make some money with each race. So that's great news for the folks over there in Maryland at Laurel Park. On the other end, for the folks at Gulfstream Park, it is not so rosy. So that same company, First Racing and Gaming, well, they now put out sort of an ultimatum for the horsemen in the state of Florida, specifically at Gulfstream Park. They want to do something called decoupling. They want their casino and all the subsidies that go to be separate from the subsidies that allow them to race horses. What they're finding, unfortunately, is that it's really not cost effective to race in certain states. This company has already closed down a major track with Golden Gate Fields in Northern California, and that's a huge blow to California racing. This would also be a huge, huge blow, not just to Florida racing, but racing in general. Gulfstream Park is a major track, so it still remains to be seen what they're going to do. They have to come into this agreement to see if they can stand, or at least stand by for racing for another 3 years, and that's not even guaranteed. There's a lot happening there still. Good news in Maryland, not so good news in the state of Florida. But if they are going to still run in Florida, and yes, they are running at Gulfstream Park this weekend, that's chances for us to make some money. And one of the things I learned toward the end of my 25 years in mainstream horse racing coverage is that there are certain riders that are really, really special. And sometimes you just got to go with them. My new go-to guy is Hall of Fame jockey John Velasquez. And he's at Gulfstream Park over the weekend. And coming up on Saturday, I really, really think that he's got some special opportunities coming up. And I just think that he's got a lot of live mounts. He's got about 5 mounts throughout the card, and a couple of them are really, really live. So I'm just going to zero in on Johnny V because, man, this dude is straight up money. So I think the best Johnny V bet of the day on Saturday is going to come in race number 6. And that's the horse. He's called Anamnestic. And that horse is going to be 6-1 on the morning line. Cool thing about this horse, they're going to be running on the turf course in that race number 6. This horse won on the turf course there 2 starts back at Gulfstream Park with a really beautiful professional performance. Paco Lopez, who's a really good rider. Eh, he's a little controversial, but he's always riding to get the money. He was riding Anamnestic that particular day, and they came from off the pace with a beautiful turn of foot. I think now Johnny V jumps on this horse for the first time. It's always an improvement. No shade to Paco at all. Paco's incredible, but Johnny V's Johnny V, bro. He makes things happen. And if I can possibly get anywhere near that morning line of 6-1, which I'm pretty sure I won't, but if I can, man, that's going to be fantastic value. So we'll see if we can get that to work out for us. Now, if you're going to be playing the late sequence on Saturday at Gulfstream Park, that means late pick 5, pardon me, then that means you're probably going to want to look at the horse in race number 8. And that's horse number 1 to the inside, Life's an Audible. This horse is probably going to be your post-time favorite, second choice at worst, right? And the horse is going to be in a great position with Johnny V in the irons, sitting just off of it. They might dictate the pace, but I'm pretty sure they're probably going to rate just off of whatever runner wants to get froggy and jump out there on the front end. The thing I've learned about a lot of these riders, and Johnny Velasquez is definitely top of the list, their instincts, their experience. He's been riding for decades. He knows what he's doing. I don't think there's ever been a situation where I've looked at Johnny V and said, what are you doing? Like, it's always, yep, I can see what he's doing. It's a great idea. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it does not. So what we want to do is try to key in on that and get that money with Johnny V, because he's just a really, really outstanding rider. So that's how we get into our business here on this first edition of Horse Race Bets with Ken Rudulph. You guys know me. Did this for 25 years. I am the ultimate outsider's insider, because I'm really not from horse racing, but they brought me in back in 1999. They paid me to learn the game, sent me around the world, across the country, and I did just that. I learned the game, and I found that it's probably the most fun that you will ever have in any betting endeavor in your life. It is the best value, and it's immediate, instant gratification. That money comes back to you like that. Don't got to wait 3 hours for a football game to end. Horse racing is every 25 minutes, and you get paid. So let's try and do it together and have some fun. And as we wrap it up here, good luck and enjoy whatever you plan to do.